All right, so this is kind of the point in the game where they have a huge mana lead, and you're kind of like pressed against a pillar. But you are making it dampening soon, which is good because you really need dampening in order to kill this comp as the warrior ally. Because Holy Priest does really well healing wise before dampening, but once it gets the dampening, the priest can't really play as efficient with his healing as than you can as the paladin. Because as the priest gets more and more dampened, he has to flash heal more, and he's gonna go very quickly. I like that play that you did there. As the druid came behind the pillar, you hodged him and then blinded his trinket. That's pretty good to do. Then when you crossed here, good. Going for drink, very good. I would have maybe went for it behind the pillar there, but that's okay. Nice freedom. If I was your team, I'd be swapping to the druid that's on top of you, to be honest, and keep trying to let you drink. Because your warrior's just kind of tunneling the shaman right now, but it's not the best. See, I wouldn't even judgment the totem. I would just try and auto attack the totem so you hold your 300 mana that you spent on that. Honestly, every point of mana matters. Yeah, I don't really. So your team's kind of pushed up hitting the shaman, right? Like they're kind of letting the Boomkin do whatever he wants. That's why you have to hit the closest wizard. Because the way you win this game is at about 16 to 17 minutes of time remaining is when Mortal Strike gets high enough that you can kill either the druid or the shaman, and the priest will really quickly. So if you get enough drinks and stave off enough pressure, you're gonna have enough mana to go into the late game versus type of comp. But your team has to hit the closest wizard. Like I don't see a reason for them to be pushed up on the shaman right now. You know what I mean? Because like they're not gonna kill him. They're not really in any danger of dying until dampening, and you just got there. So but yeah, this is the sort of position you're in where in the beginning of the game, like it's gonna come down to mana. So look, you're just sitting there, you're whatever. But something I want you to notice here is that your shaman has shield wall, and look where the shaman put his earthbind totem. You could go to the left side of this pillar away from the earthbind and sit down again without going in combat, right? You could find a position here where you could drink. Now, Convoke Spirit, you see that going off, right? Probably all gonna die here. Yup. That is very surprising that our warrior died to Convoke. Yup. But that's the thing, like the reason your warrior died there is because you kept having to go for a drink. Like you had sack available, by the way. Like you had ult sack available, but you didn't even have enough mana to press it. Look at your mana. So mana is just really important. And if you see the priest mana, you're about 1 or 2 minutes away from the priest going out of mana. He's at 16k mana, and he loses mana really fast in dampening. So you just have to tell your team to hit the closest wizard. It's going to be about an 8 to 9 minute game, and if you have mana that's even with the priest going to late game, he's going to lose mana faster than you. That's just the way it kind of works with Holy Priest right now. Is as they play less mana efficient, uh, dampening causes them to play less mana efficiently compared to Paladin. So it's kind of something to think about. So yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. Honestly, that was just a mana game. Positioning on the pillar on the ground and then readjusting and going for a drink again. You kind of have to look at your partner's defensive cooldowns and see, does your shaman have astral shift? Does your warrior have parry and rally? Does the druid have convoke available, incarn available? Those are things you have to ask yourself if you're going to try and be really greedy with your drinks. And honestly, that's what the matchup comes down to, this sort of matchup. Something else I wanna mention is that it's up to your Ellie Shaman to mostly stop the enemy healer's drinks with Earthbind totems, as that guy was doing to you. But also your warrior can use leap to stop the enemy drink. So your warrior can leap onto the priest, stop his drink, and then use his charge to kind of come back and hit them. But that's not really stuff you personally can do. That's something they have to learn in those matchups. But stopping the drink's really important for the Ellie and the warrior on the enemy priest, because you can definitely win by mana if this is played out really well. Yeah, so this is something that I mentioned. You don't want to use judgment on the totems when you can just auto attack it, because you're actually wasting 300 mana killing the totem when you could just right clicked it and auto attack it for free. That actually adds up over the course of a game. Like imagine you didn't judgment any totems this game. You would have had probably 1500 to 1800 extra mana, and you would have had enough mana to use Old Sack there at the end. Because Old Sack isn't a very high mana cost, but once you're zeroed out, your mana regen's really low on a Paladin. So it's something to think about. And also, depending on where their Shaman puts the Earthbind Totem, you want to kind of look and see if you could reposition and just sit down to drink again. Because not only does the Shaman have to come over and Flame Shock you or Frost Shock you or whatever, but he's not doing damage while he's coming to stop your drink, so you might be in a scary position, but you going for the drink actually reduces the damage you're taking, if you think about it. Because they have to spend their time, their mobility, their globals trying to stop you. So that's why going for drinks and positioning well for them is really, really important. So yeah, that's what I got for the VOD review for now, guys. Appreciate it. And with your permission, Cannies, I will maybe upload these to YouTube. We'll see. How often do you dispel Flame Shock? Pretty much on cooldown, unless you see him going for like a big burst Echoing Shock go. So let's say all three of you have Flame Shock up, and then he hits Echoing Shock. You can maybe hesitate. You can hold your global for like 1 or 2 seconds, because the good LA shamans will wait for you to dispel. So they'll cast Echoing Shock. They'll wait for you to AoE dispel Flame Shock. They'll reapply Flame Shock and then send their Echoing Shock charges. So I'll generally hesitate like a second or two to dispel the Flame Shocks. So maybe you catch him as he's pressing his Echoing Shock damage. You'll get the AoE dispel, and then that will shut it down, if that makes sense. But generally, you'll just spam dispel because it shuts down his lava burst damage and his extra AoE damage, right? But that's a situation where you would kind of wait a sec to dispel. But yeah, let me pull up WoW here. And if, by the way, if anyone else has VODs that you want me to review, you know, if you play Paladin or whatever, maybe I can give some insight like that. And let me show you here. I actually made like 2 pages of notes ahead of time, so I put a lot of thought into this. Hopefully help break it down for you.